Hello, everybody, and welcome to What's the Story podcast. This is 341 of our big episodes. We used to do a little mini one called the 600 many, many moons ago. So
Yeah,
we've done quite a few more. But anyway, my name's
and
Danny Morley.
you sound a bit I'm Graham American. You sound very lethargic, or you just have to have in your grow up, have you? Are you?
I did. I had grub about a half hour ago, but
We
I'm on.
usually wait until after the pod to
I was
grub.
lepping. I had a long old day, Graham, and
So what? Tell us,
I'm on.
tell everyone, what did you
Uh,
have?
I will. I'm on the struggle bus generally at the minute. I'm fucking. I'm not even. I'm not. You know, I'm not just on it. I'm fucking driving it. I am
The
wrecked.
struggle bus, Jesus.
So, and I've a trip to Cork down and back in the same day coming up that is
I'm
going to
sorry to hear that.
it's going to drain me. But for dinner tonight, Graham, I went back to my student days, and out of one just sheer impatience for cooking anything substantial, and two, because I'm a mindless idiot, I had bird's eye plate of waffles,
Nice.
sausages,
Uh,
uh, peas, and curry sauce.
Hold on a minute here.
Yeah,
Right, waffles, yes.
yeah,
Sausages, I don't mind sausages, grilled sausages, whatever.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
I they repeat on me an awful lot.
Well, that's what I'm going through now. So
So
it's
I'd
not fun.
much my preference would be rashers all the time. Then
Ah, no, no,
there's
I wouldn't be a
then
rasher person.
there's that sorry, my mother interrupted there.
That's how you did.
Uh um peas,
Hmm.
curry sauce.
Yeah,
What the hell is going on here? Sausages,
yeah,
pork sausages with
yeah,
peas.
yeah.
I would have had that maybe with brown sauce or something. I wouldn't
That
have had peas probably with sausages.
that
Probably would
that
have had
wouldn't be
beans.
that wouldn't have been a bad shout. Now brown sauce, to be fair. Well, I mean, like
Curry sauce.
if I was doing,
Where do you say, oh, curry sauce is going to be nice with waffles and sausages and peas?
well, Graham, as we know, bird's eye potato waffles, they're waffly versatile. And would you have curry sauce with chips?
Fair enough.
I mean, it's practically, you know what I
It's
mean?
just the
Like,
peas and the sausages that are turning me off. Although,
would
do you
you not?
remember?
Would you not have peas in your curry? No.
No, absolutely not.
Okay, fair enough.
Do you
There's some
remember?
Chinese takeaways that put peas in their curry.
I know, and thankfully I've stayed away from all of them.
Oh well.
Not in any of our localities is there peas in chicken curry. I know where Gary Mackle gets a fillet of beef curry down in Arklow, they serve it with
Mm,
peas.
lovely.
Not for me.
A
But
fillet
do you
of beef
remember?
curry is, sorry, can I do a fillet of beef curry doesn't get the credit it deserves. I think it's a
I
very
know.
underrated item from the
I, I,
Chinese takeaway.
I absolutely agree. I went through a phase where I was fucking pissing through them.
Unreal.
Um, what was I going to say to you? Do you remember when we were kids in Kingfisher, now Roma, and they used to do the lunch special, and it was
Oh, I
like
do.
it was chips, a sausage, and curry sauce.
Yeah, I remember it well. The batter burger special was the one I'd go for. Or
I always got that
or a
special.
batter sausage special. Um, and I think back in the day, am I right in saying they were like £1.20 or something like that?
They were like, yeah, €2 or something.
Like it was fucking cheap
I think they
as
were Sunday after mass specials, maybe.
maybe, but they definitely filtered into midweek because we used to get them coming home from school.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was an early
Mm.
special. It was the only time I ever mixed sausages and curry sauce.
I know, I wouldn't mind sausage and curry sauce. Like, do you know what I mean? I think it's a fairly solid. Like if you were, it reminds me of football stadium food.
Yeah, scram.
I won't use that word.
Okay.
I don't. I don't understand how that has come into people's lexicon.
I did
I,
it away.
I don't know when this started. I believe it's a social media thing that has infiltrated everybody's vocabulary. I
I think it's
won't.
English, isn't it? It's quite English.
I won't tolerate it, and I won't use that word.
It's quite English Cockney, isn't it? And it's like and it's after making its way over here
Is
into
it
our
is it
vocab.
Scouse? No, I thought it was a Scouse thing.
Oh, is it Scouse? Oh, it could be Scouse. But
I
do you
could be
ever
wrong.
hear, do you ever see people, Irish people, when they're talking about football now, they finish a sentence with this or that. Good job, this. He's a good player, that. He had
I
a good
haven't
game.
I haven't noticed that.
Yeah, I've noticed it a good bit. It's like let's leave that with the English. We don't need.
Mm.
to adopt that.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I haven't heard it to form an opinion on it. Um,
You just have to trust me.
but and I'm not going to go down the route of our American cousins and form an opinion on stuff without hearing it, a la Bad Bunny at the Super Bowl,
Benito, the Benito Bowl.
the Benito Bowl. Yeah,
I have been hardcore into Bad Bunny all week. Now, me and you are more familiar with Bad Bunny when it comes to the professional wrestling scene.
I thought he was a wrestler. I was like, why is there a football why is there a football match on during this wrestler's concert?
But I that halftime Super Bowl show always has an effect on me in the days after I listen to the artist. Well, unless it's Maroon 5 or Justin Timberlake or someone shit. But Benito, the Benito Bowl was class.
Yeah, I now look, I wouldn't know a Bad Bunny song if it hopped up and bit the carrot off me, Graham.
Mhm.
But I did watch it, not live, of course. I watched it the next day because I couldn't give a shit about the Super
Same.
Bowl or NFL is not a sport that or American football rather isn't a sport that appeals to me personally. But I'll always take an interest in the Super Bowl purely because of what it is and the fact that there's a halftime show and the ads are usually a bit of crack. But this one obviously
The
for
production value of that halftime show
that
was
was
off the
unbelievable.
charts.
Yeah,
It
it was
was made for
unbelievable.
TV, wasn't
It was, and I thought he'd done it brilliantly in terms of like the whole, non-politicized politicization of it and all that. But what I just thought was hilarious, just the reaction
it? Yeah.
and how it just shows how fundamentally broken the American mind is. Like
Mm.
American people in their millions speak Spanish. Like literally, I think is it like over 40 million? Could even be more than that, but like
It's more, yeah.
40, that's a conservative amount. Like speak Spanish fluently. And you've got the president out there saying nobody understood what he was saying. I'm pretty sure they did, man. But on top of that as well, right? What I found hilarious, like the right wing lunatics of
Turning point.
yeah, and their alternative concert, right? So for like them trying to come out and say nobody wants to listen to Bad Bunny, right, Graham? Off the top of your head, I'm going to test you because we like to do this to each other and just make each other feel stupid. Do you know how many monthly listeners Bad Bunny has on the streaming service Spotify?
I don't. However, what
Hmm.
I do know is that through his appearances in WWE, the commentator would always say the most streamed artist
Yeah,
alive. So I
yeah.
assume it's in the billions.
Monthly listeners, I'm specifically because that's what Spotify publicly give, right? He
Right,
has overtaken Taylor Swift, which is quite the achievement because, as we all
right.
know, it is Taylor Swift's world and we're just living in it.
Yeah,
101.5 million monthly listeners, Graham,
that's crazy, isn't
right? And there are certain people in America who would tell you that people aren't listening to him. Kid Rock, Kid Rock, who is the MAGA poster boy these days, and I'm gonna have a rant about him in a second. How many monthly listeners would he have?
it? 50 million?
No, five.
But
Well, oh, sorry, I'll be generous to him. Almost 6 million, which is probably just as many as we have per month, in fairness, these days. So it's us and Kid Rock fighting it out for the relegation zone. But like, which look, that's not a number to be snubbed, right? I mean, like 6 million listeners is still decent, but to try and champion Kid Rock, who probably hasn't been relevant since he had that one song, what ripped off Leonard Skinner and
what
Sweet
was
Home
that?
Alabama. Do you remember
Oh,
that one?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
All Summer Long, I think was the name of his song. And then prior to that was when he done the Undertaker's music back for the WWE back in the day or whatever. But like
Was that not Limp Bizkit?
uh, Limp Bizkit done Rollin',
Yeah.
and then if you remember, he done American Badass, and that was kid.
Oh, Jesus, of
Yeah,
course.
right.
Yeah, of
So
course.
like everything in life, it comes back to wrestling. Um,
Yeah.
but but the, this thing, right? So like because Trump is such a numbers guy, he's always talking about oh, I'm going to make this 150% cheaper. That's impossible, by the way. That would mean you're paying people to take it, Donald. How has nobody in this man's administration explained to him that when he says he's making pharmaceuticals 200, 300, 400% cheaper, that means he would literally have to be paying the customer to take it. the fucking moron.
Absolute
Anyway,
moron.
so these are, the maggots who live and die by numbers. That's why I'm making this reference to, 101 monthly listeners, 101 million monthly listeners for Benito versus Kid Rock and
Streams.
his 5 point whatever, 5.8 million. Um, the Super Bowl has 130 million global audience, right?
That's mental, isn't it?
Which is mad.
Global.
Global.
I thought the global number was a lot more.
I don't think so. I think it's 130 million global. I think it's like 70 million in the States.
Okay, very good.
Um, because I read a thing which basically laughed at the Super Bowl because the actual World Cup will fucking dwarf it,
Yeah,
basically.
the World Cup be billions, won't it? The World Cup final.
Yeah, in the billions, exactly.
Yeah.
But the Turning Point USA Kid Rock halftime alternative um had a couple of million
Oh, actually,
watches.
are the viewing figures out for it? Are they?
I think so. Yeah, I'm gonna double check now because it's just you and I this week that we don't have a guest, so I'm comfortable just going onto the Google machine here and asking.
But
Um,
it's funny how I had to laugh because obviously the Trump regime have been giving out about Bad Bunny
yeah,
doing the halftime show and pointing to the alternative being Turning Point, and then there was footage of Trump at a Super Bowl party watching
watching, yeah,
Bad Bunny. He
which is
wasn't even
hilarious.
watching
Like,
Turning Point.
the New York Times, and for our Trump fans out there, I'll say fake news, New York Times. You fuck off, don't know. So Super Bowl this year drew 124.9 million viewers, but it peaked at 128.2 when Bad Bunny was taking his performance. So it actually went up for Bad Bunny and then dropped off again, right?
Jesus.
So 130 million was actually over egging it slightly. Um, but then Turning Point USA's Super Bowl, I'm pretty sure it's low million, and like low millions sounds, but I mean, like they actually surprised me that they got as many as they did. Um,
But they were marketing it as like a sincere alternative to the Super Bowl, as if people are going to turn off the Super Bowl
oh
to
yeah,
watch,
yeah. So,
an event on YouTube.
peaked at 5 million viewers at one point.
Yeah.
Nielsen did not measure any of their stream. So
But there
basically, they
you
were
go.
the folks who for those who don't know, Nielsen are the folks who basically are the scientific. If they say it, it must be true. TV ratings, people. So this is based purely on a YouTube algorithmic thing that they're saying 5 million viewers at one point tuned into it. Um, so I mean, 100 and what was it for Benito? 128 million.
But
And
there's even Republicans actually taking they want to take legal action over the NFL by getting Bad Bunny. Like, what the fuck is going on?
because nothing over there makes sense anymore. Like up is down, down is up, left is right, right is left. The whole thing. Yeah, at this point, they are doing things basically to get a headline that will make Donald Trump pay attention to them. It's
Yeah.
the cult of personality on steroids. So when you see these fucking senators or the House representatives from Buttfuck, Oklahoma, or wherever it is, coming out and saying, we should investigate Bad Bunny and the NFL for non-Christian, family-friendly, blah blah blah. And you're like, dude, you were promoting Kid Rock concert. Do you want to check some of Kid Rock's lyrics? Do you want to check some of his backstory and his? This is a dude who, with the Olsen twins, said, "Why are we all waiting until they're 18? If there's grass on the pitch, I say play ball." This is a guy who his lyrics say, "I like him young. I like him young." Some say that's statutory. I say that's mandatory. Come on,
Just mental, isn't it?
come on,
When they go on about pedophilia and stuff like that.
exactly.
And
And
yet
this is, I set this up for the
and yet
segue, Mero. Fucking take it home. Take it fucking
and
home.
and yet they're his lyrics.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
know? Is does Kid Rock come up in the fucking Epstein files?
Do you know what? I'd be fucking amazed at this point if not, but
But
so far,
Danny, we spoke briefly to Phil last week, briefly about the Epstein files. But
yeah.
since last week, the Epstein files, a lot of them have been unredacted. So when they were initially released, they were redacted. And Donald Trump's name came up 38,000 times. And now a bipartisan kind of amendment to the law, to the rule, by two congressmen, a Republican and a Democrat,
Hmm.
changed the rule, and they were unredacted in the last 24 hours. And
Well,
now new figures say that Trump's name now appears a million times.
for clarity here, right, and to try and because I'm conscious when we're talking about this stuff, the amount of the Epstein files, obviously the conspiracy element of it and all the stuff that swirls around with that, and just plus the sheer volume of stuff that's being released about this. And we're not going to get everything right, and we're not going to report everything 100% right. So I'll apologize in advance, right? But in terms of the redacted versus unredacted, to be clear, the public don't have access to the unredacted files. What they've done is members of Congress can go into a secure setting and view and look up the files in an unredacted format. And the drive behind this was because
Sorry to cut
former,
across you, but
yeah,
have journalists got access to the unredacted?
no, no. So as
So
far as I
it's
know, at the
literally up
moment,
to congressman to come out to
yeah,
a plinth and
yeah.
say, look, I've just done a search. So was there a congressman that said that Trump is now appearing a million times?
So Democratic Congressman Jamie Raskin um, done an interview with Axios, and he's the one that put the figure out there to say, look, I searched for Donald Trump in the unredacted files, and his name comes up there was over a million results.
Fucking hell.
And he is one of the people that is really, really pushing this whole thing of the Department of Justice covering up. Um, and as we're recording this, Pam Bondi is testifying on Capitol Hill. Um, and Raskin and some of his others are some of the other Democrats are fucking. It's been a shit show as you'd expect, but it's like literally just a mud flinging contest. Um, and I like look, it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to. I don't think she'll be impeached because I don't think the Democrats have the numbers to impeach her. But I
Yeah.
think the thing with the Epstein files is that the Department of Justice over there and how they've handled it has shown everyone just how politicized each thing has become and how badly run all of this is because it's all at the whim and at the behest of what Donald Trump wants. It's no longer a government of the people, by the people, for the people. It's a government of one, for one, by one.
It's just you wake up every day. Like I was talking to my mom about it today. She
Mm,
absolutely hates Donald Trump. But we were just saying briefly today, like you wake up every day and there's something else. Like
yeah.
in previous administrations, and I'm calling the Trump term this time a regime because it is a regime.
Hmm.
Um, like in previous administrations, whether it be George W. Bush, actually, whether it be Bill Clinton, whether it be anyone of our era, you'd happily go 4 weeks not hearing from the US president. And we hear something every fucking day.
Multiple
It's
times per day.
it feels like multiple times per day. He's only in office just over a year, and it feels like about 10 years. Like, do you know
Yeah.
what though? Do you know what me and my mum were
Right.
saying today?
Mm,
Like, it's funny because remember his first week in office and he was signing all the executive orders, and he
yeah.
was he was signing in executive orders over the definition of male and female and all this absolute culture war nonsense.
Mm,
None of that means anything 13 months
yeah.
on. There was people actually like there was people saying I saw people that we know share that executive order on social media saying, well, he's not a good lad, but he's right with this.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, come on. He promised Americans $2,000 check each American would get. He promised groceries would come down within 10 months. He promised he'd stop the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Nothing has happened. Nothing.
Oh, no, but like,
Groceries are 5.5% dearer. We have a family
yeah,
member in New York who's
yeah.
actually going on to uh, kind of segue into ice.
Mm,
Um, we have a friend of the family in Queens, New York, who works for the fire department in New York. And I was asking him, is it that bad? This was in November now. I was asking him, is it that bad? And he said, well, he has to roster is people of color staff in Harlem
Mm.
because ICE won't go near Harlem.
Yeah.
Now, these are firefighters and paramedics. Sorry, paramedics working for the fire department in New York
Hmm.
who've been working years and years and years. Because they're brown, they have to be
Yeah.
rostered in Harlem.
Yeah.
Like
And
this is 2026. Like,
and you have to remember as well, that New York would be a sanctuary state. It's a blue state. So it's, and New York is of course the state that went after Trump. So he's
it's
going to revenge is his currency.
yeah,
This is the
it's his
thing.
state
And
as
like,
well. And let's for not forget, in the 90s, he was a donor to the Democrats.
yeah, like it's interesting what you're saying about him, the fact that when we don't even have to go back that far. Like, look at when Biden just a couple of years ago was in there. Like, we still heard more just because of the whole thing of people questioning whether he was actually cognitively fit to be, the most powerful man in the world, so to speak. But you actually forgot what it was like to have just a kind of semi-normal global picture based on what was coming out of Washington and how Biden's staff were interacting with the media, how they were interacting with the public, the policies they were doing, that kind of stuff. I'm not saying it was some sort of utopia or paradise, but what I'm saying is that, people sometimes, like, if this topic comes up, some people be like, "Oh, I don't get why you care so much. It doesn't affect us. It's not important over here, blah blah blah." And I'm like, you don't- you're not getting the bigger picture. Then it absolutely does. From everything, from like this, like we talked to Phil about it last week, from the very fact that the leader of our country, willingly or otherwise, is now in a position where he's going to go to Washington and on a global platform present the president with a present. All this kind of stuff ties into it because if he didn't do that, there's possible ramifications for Ireland.
Mm,
When you think about the tariffs and the threats against tariffs and all this kind of stuff, and the amount
Greenland.
the amount that pharmaceutical companies that are in Ireland that would be forced to think about their position very, very strongly based on the implication of tariffs and all this kind of stuff. Like, there's so much there to unwind, and so much of it is just reactionary, knee jerk, and it's designed to make you look over there while something happens over the other side of the room, and then it flips, and there's no consistency, there's no reliability, there's no stability in any of it. And that's exactly the name of the game. It's flood the zone, make it chaotic. And if people don't understand that that has impl implications globally and here in Ireland, of course, they're missing the beat. Like, this is
Big time.
really,
Big.
really, really important for Ireland and for all of us because the reality is we're a year in. Look at how mental it is in America. The contagion is only a matter of time before that shit fucking spreads. And you got a taste of it in terms of what happens with Israel and their just absolute barbarity towards the Palestinians. You're getting a flavor of it with how he's treating the Ukraine and cozying up to Vladimir Putin in Russia. And every time we talk about that, I will put my hand up and say, you know, I got it very, very wrong when before that kicked off, when, there was all the talk of the Russian troops being moved around. I was like, he's not going to go into Ukraine, lads. There's no way he's going to do it. Like, Putin's not a fucking idiot. Like, and what I got wrong on that was, of course, he did go into Ukraine, but not because he's an idiot, because he's a fucking psychopath. And I underestimated how much of a fucking psychopath he is. But what we're seeing in this shift in the balance of global relations and global everything is that America is, to rob one from our guest last week, Phil O'Connor, an unreliable narrator. You
Mm,
can no longer take them at their word. You can no longer rely upon the relationships that have existed for the best part of a century. And that has implications for all of us.
yeah.
Rather we want to admit it or not, or rather it gives us a migraine or not, and we want to just close the curtains and forget about it or not. It's like that train is coming down the fucking track. So, we got to talk about it and we got to try and front up to it and say, what do we do as just fucking ordinary people, who are watching this unfold and scratching their head going, what is going on in the world? Like,
But as well as that, you were saying like And you've always said, you know, he's doing something over here and everyone's looking in the wrong direction. You know, in the 13 months that like let's not forget ICE. George W. Bush created ICE. ICE have been around since 2003. But in the last year, the Trump regime have given ICE way more power. So as he's doing that with ICE, as he's threatening to take over Greenland, as he's doing his everyday press conferences and coming up with wacky fucking statements, the chap in the background is a billionaire. He's become a billionaire in the 13 months he's been out in office. So when he's saying they ran on a campaign of the working class Americans, of which there is a lot, but there's a huge wealth gap between.
Yeah.
But they, the undecided working class people voted for Trump in their numbers because there was a promise of more groceries in your fridge, more groceries in your shopping, more money back at you. And in actual fact, it's costing them more now. He does not give a shit about the groceries because it'll never affect him. But in the meantime, he has a son-in-law, Kushner, isn't it?
Jared Kushner, yeah.
Jared Kushner, brokering deals all over the world where Trump, the Trump name, the daughter, the sons, they all gain from it. The deals in Ukraine, the latest peace deal proposal in Ukraine, Russia, sees Russia and America benefit tenfold over Ukraine when Ukraine is the country that's being invaded.
Mm.
The whole Gaza board of peace. I mean, like, this is like, and like just veering off momentarily, but in the same context where this evening we had the Man United co-owner Jim Ratcliffe saying in a Sky News interview, the UK has been colonized by immigrants. This is classic billionaires telling you that it's poor people ruining your life.
Yeah.
It's not the most original take, and it's always why I've been saying the world does not need billionaires because the likes of Jim Ratcliffe, the likes of Donald Trump, they other everybody. They marginalize and other everybody because they're now not getting profits. They're now not getting money. Because if we're all focusing on the others and the marginalized people of society,
Yeah.
it's so frustrating. It's really like there's Jim Ratcliffe coming off at that point today in Sky News, and his captain is an immigrant to England.
I mean, look at the amount of people on this payroll that are
Immigrants.
very, very wealthy immigrants, but still immigrants. Um,
Like
that's
about 15 years ago, Danny, a comment like that would see somebody being made accountable and
yeah.
possibly step down.
But I mean, it's like I mean,
This
even
will be
just
forgotten about by Friday.
of course it will, yeah, because we'll be on to the next controversy or the next bullshit item or the next fucking nonsense thing that has happened out of Trump's White House or I mean, out of number 10 Downing Street with Keir Starmer and the shit show he's facing.
But
Um,
my frustration with everything like this with billionaires and stuff is that they get behind the culture wars
yeah,
constantly and they profit from hate. They
but
profit from
of course they
division.
do. But of course, and this is like, and
And nobody sees it. You have working class people getting behind it. Yeah, they're right, they're right. So
I
they don't give a shit about you.
I cannot for the life of me fathom why lads our age worship Elon Musk.
Oh, I don't.
I cannot for the life of me. I've never understood it. I've I've gone down the Elon rabbit hole too many times, and every time I've come up, gone, this lad's a fucking moron, really. Like he's smart enough to surround himself with people who know a lot better and take the credit for it.
Yeah,
But Elon is a fucking dork who is obsessed with being liked. All he
yeah.
wants is to be the popular bro. He wants to be the cool bro, and he is the furthest fucking thing from that. He
Rem
is.
remind everyone how he came up in the Epstein files. When you say that he's begging to be liked,
Oh my
how
God,
did he come up in the
man.
Epstein
Like,
files?
so
By the
this,
way, he came up a lot of times in the Epstein files, but
yeah,
specifically there's a charity or there's a group in England that printed off his email to Jeffrey Epstein and put it on a lot of bus shelters.
which is amazing. But you have to remember, this is also a guy who, do you remember that football team that were trapped in the fucking the
Is
kids
that in
football
Thailand?
Thailand? Yeah,
That's right, yeah.
and there was a British diving expert who was part of the rescue team brought
That's
in.
right.
And Elon Musk, of course, was wading into this with all his fucking diving experience, talking about how like I could develop a robot that could blah blah blah, or some shit like that. Just fuck off and concentrate and get to Mars, you little weirdo. But he accused this guy basically rebutted him and just sort of said, "You don't know what you're talking about. We're experts in diving. We we're figuring this out." And Elon's response to that was to accuse this guy of being a pedophile.
Yeah, because that's
If
the
you
normal
remember
thing
right,
to do, isn't it?
because that's what you do, isn't it? You know what I mean? But then for him to show up in the Epstein files by asking Jeffrey Epstein when is the best time to visit for one of your wild parties? It's not a direct quote, but that's the context or the excuse me, the crux of what he was saying. This dude's a fucking creep. He's got a breeding fetish. He's obsessed with just fucking everything that is ugly about the human race. He's just
What is he to
nasty.
be admired for? Because even in
Exactly.
business, none of them are his original ideas.
No.
He invested and then became
He
th-
and outed the
yeah,
people who were actually there before him to reap what they had sowed.
yeah,
His family come from money in South Africa as well. Is it diamond mining or something? I can't
Dynamite. Yeah,
fucking
they're they're
like
racists in South
yeah,
Africa.
apartheid South Africa. And like
The
look,
dad has
fucking
been a
creep as well.
the dad's been accused of all sorts as
You
well,
know, like I think
along
look,
the Jeffrey Epstein kind of radar.
but I think here's
These are the company that
these are the
people are
people.
keeping.
And these are the like there's people out there who are like, and I'm not wrong, right? Like we all have people we look up to, and depending on what you're into in life, there's some people who are very entrepreneurial and they're very driven in terms of like they want to have a successful business or be an inventor, and they're looking at different people than you and I would to be inspirations. So I get it, right? And when you feel like your guy is in the fight and the guy that you're going to bat for is the guy, like, so I understand it, right? But at some point you have to look at it and be like, they're just a bit of a prick, you know?
But
And like, and here's
I
the thing about these
understand.
billionaires. Sorry, can I just let me, because I'll lose me train of thought. Anyone that is going out to defend a billionaire is a fucking idiot. Like, I'm sorry, but they do not, you are a consequence to them.
Yeah.
You serve no purpose other than them saying, I'm going to make you think the tenner I put in your pocket is the best thing that's happened to you, but I've already taken 50 out of your other pocket. They do not care about the average Joe.
No.
And that's proven by every single fucking one of them with these megacorps. They're laying people off left, right, and center the second their profit lines look like they might take a sniff of a dint, right? These are people who have there's so much money they could combine solve global poverty 10 times over and still have enough to buy a new yacht. These are people who could solve so much of the inequality and injustice in the world by just cutting a fucking check. And
No.
will they? Will they fuck? Because
They're too narcissist.
exactly, because when you've got people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos competing to be the world's richest person, and when they do top the list, they send the other one a giant number two statue.
Ugh, is
That's what
really?
they're doing. Yeah, Musk did that to Bezos,
Oh my
you know?
God.
Like
Absolute dork.
like this is Elon Musk who also, of course, as I forget, when he had his little fucking momentary lover tiff with Donald Trump and put out on Twitter, now called X, because he bought it and made a fuck of it, that, the real thing is Trump is in the Epstein files. And then they kissed and made up. He deleted that tweet and reprogrammed Grok, his AI, and reprogrammed the algorithm on Twitter so that if you go looking for that, it's impossible to find. It's, thank God for screenshots and thank God for legacy and all that kind of stuff, because he is trying to rewrite history and change the perception of things based on our friends again. Like these people are disgusting fucking pigs. So if you're out there and you're one of the people that's like, I like Elon Musk, do me a favor. Give
But
your head a wobble.
you know the way you're saying there, like, I understand supporting them, say, as such.
Not even supporting them, but kind of
It's
defend, like almost like feeling like you have, like, right, I'll give you like
no, but
the on
I think you were more so meaning in sport and stuff, though, weren't you?
a little bit in sport, but like I mean,
Mm,
like these examples for me would be Bono, right? I love U2. I'm a huge U2 fan, and for years, whenever someone would say Bono was a pox, I'd be like, ah, yeah, but he's our pox, right? And I find myself increasingly over the last number of years, whenever somebody says Bono was a pox, I reply with, and a wanker to boot, because
yeah.
he is like as much as I want to like him because I like U2, I like the music. I just can't abide by the fucking carry on of him, especially when it came to the Israel-Palestine stuff of recent years. That was the
Well,
line in the sand for me where it's just
that's
like,
the line in the sand for
you
you,
know,
yeah. But you know what it is, though? The support is not support. It's almost like MAGA in that it's a cult. Like if you're still supporting somebody who's behaving badly just because of it,
yeah.
that's cult like behavior. Like
Yeah, and I get like, look, one of the hardest things in the world to do for people is to say they
we're
were wrong, like,
adults.
you
We're
know?
adults. Let's not God worship other adults just because of they scored a goal or they won a fight or they have a good song out. They're like that's the biggest red flag for me in anything in life is God worshiping. People might say, you're one to talk, you love Christy Moore. Yeah, but if Christy Moore came out and said something really out there or, turned to MAGA or,
Mm.
you'd be saying, oh, for fuck's sake. It's like, do you know what it's actually like? It's I follow I follow a couple of lefties on Instagram and they were writing critical pieces in regards to Noam Chomsky coming up in the Epstein files. And one of the emails was completely damning because Chomsky was trying to come up with a way to rehabilitate Epstein after his conviction
Yeah,
of soliciting minors for prostitution. And I'm sure deep down those lefties, academics and whatnot, were a bit kind of I'm not going to say devastated, but he's a pillar of the left in
yeah.
terms of his quotes and his citations and stuff like that. There
Well, I mean,
would have
manufacturing consent is probably the thing that's pointed to so much by anyone who was trying to be a pseudo-intellectual, fucking, like that one fucking book has been referenced more, I would say, in the last decade than it was in the 30 years before that it was actually released.
and whereas in the last week since that email was released, I've seen people dumping the book and
Yeah.
saying, "Look, I don't want that to do with this." That's how you should act when somebody you looked up to has let you down, whether they're in the media, whether don't let's
Hmm.
stop God worshiping people. I just find it so cringy.
Yeah, I'm with you on the God worship thing. I like it's weird, like it's hard not to kind of blur the line and stray into the whole thing of cancel culture and all that with it. And I think that's where some people would go as the next step. And I'm like, I'm not. Well, don't get me wrong. Like,
Nah, cancel
when it
culture
comes to,
doesn't.
when it comes to the FC and stuff, I'm kind of like, yeah, those people should be fucking that. I'm all right with cancel culture there, right? In terms of anyone who was definitely up to shady shit. If somebody is an innocent bystander and they just happen to be in the same room as the guy once, like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's fucking collateral damage to the nth degree. Like, but I think the God worship thing is an excellent way of putting it, and it's a really, really fucking good point because I think at some point in our life we're all probably a little bit guilty of maybe looking at somebody in a light that when somebody says something critical of them, we almost feel like it's our duty to be like, oh, hang on a second, and taking up for them. And especially in the age of the internet, maybe not so much now, but when Twitter and Facebook were in their pomp, and it wouldn't be uncommon to have arguments in the comment section,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. But like,
But is cancel culture not for me? I
mm,
think that's very, you know, I don't know. I think cancel culture is just accountability. Put your hands up.
no, no, I
That
don't think so because I think accountability isn't just see, right? Accountability for me, somebody puts their hands up and they say, "I got it wrong." I'm like, I should know better. Uh, I can do better and I must do better. Mea culpa kind of thing. That's the accountability element. right? But I think the problem that we went to, or the thing that happened was that it wasn't just good enough for people to apologize. People wanted their pound of flesh too. And people had to be removed from everything. Any
Yeah.
element of their life that would have been privilege or any element of them having a status of celebrity in some way, shape, or form, all of that
Who's a
had to
good
be taken
example of
away.
that in terms of someone that was legitimately cancelled?
Uh,
And because cancel
yeah.
culture to me suggests that it's unfair that somebody was cancelled. So, like, is there a scenario where um someone was accused of acting the dope? They actually weren't acting the dope, but they were already cancelled.
Well, you see, I'm not even saying about it being a case of them being rightly or wrongly accused. I think, sorry, I'm gonna go on a little bit of walk around my house here because I need to let the dog out. It, what I'm saying thanks, Cubes. Um,
I just don't know what cancel culture is. I don't mean that naively. I just mean
no, no, no.
is it a thing? Because I'm sick of hearing people saying so and so was cancelled when yeah, they still have a huge following, they've millions and millions of followers, they're still making money, you know.
But it's the attempt, right? So it's the like even I'm going to
Is it
conflate
the
things by bringing.
intent of
I was going to
people
say I think it is. So
of
for
mass
example,
movements?
this isn't a direction that we never do. We no notes, no script. This can go anywhere kind of conversation. So when these sort of things come up and you ask for an example, I'm like, oh fuck, right, hang on.
Yeah.
So the one that's jumping out to me maybe is Kevin Hart. I think
Okay. What happened there?
so. And again, I'm going to butcher this, so I am completely open to correction because this is a story from a few years ago and everything else, right? So Kevin Hart, um, he made homophobic jokes, basically, right? Which,
Yeah.
like it or don't like it, comedians, there's always, when it comes to someone who is a professional comedian, there is more of a blurred line and a grey area in terms of what they can say and how they can say it, what they can get away with, and all that kind of stuff, right? I'm saying that fully admit I don't, for context, have to hand or remember exactly what the homophobic jokes were, right? But he made the jokes, and as a result of those jokes resurfacing years later, he was forced to step down from hosting the Academy Awards.
Okay.
Now, in my mind, he apologized
Yeah.
and said again that whole thing of, look, I said it then, will I say it now? No, I should have known better then. I didn't. I know better now. Mea culpa, right? And I think that should be enough for people to be like, it's being pointed out to him. He's admitted it's wrong. He's accepted it's wrong. And he said he'll do better next time and move on. That to me should be enough, right?
So you think in that instance he should have still went on to host the Oscars?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Because let's
Uh,
let's let's like I, let's not conflate that to cancel culture because I mean
w-
he's had how many he's had umpteen
no,
Netflix specials since
he
he's a
has, but what?
gazillionaire. He's been
But
in loads of movies.
yeah, but
So
Graham,
he
we're
wasn't
talking about
cancelled.
this. No, but hang on a second, right? It's easy to say that now because we're saying this how many years on? I can't even remember what year this happened in, right? But
Mm.
at the time, I remember it being so heated, and people were calling for him to be removed from Netflix, and people were calling for him basically to boycott his shows and all this kind of stuff. Like, and that's the part of cancel culture that I'm getting at. It doesn't. I'm not saying it was ever successful in terms of people were completely, maybe Louis C.K. was, and I mean, what he was doing was far worse than Kevin Hart. You could argue, obviously, but I, I'm struggling to come up with an example that brings it to the nth degree that you were talking about in terms of, well, these people still had their millions of dollars and these people still had all that kind of stuff. And that's all fine, and I accept that.
Yeah,
The point that I'm trying to make with this is it's the attempt and the viciousness and the vitriol at which
I get you. Yeah.
the angry mob were pursuing people because they were like, they said something we don't like. Oh, you know what I mean? And that's where I kind of go, hang on a second, right? Somebody can say something you don't like, and you can say, that's not on. You need to fucking do better. And if they accept that and whatever, then I think that should be like, if they accept it, they apologize and we move on, then that should be the end of it. I don't believe that somebody should continue to be punished over and over and over and over and over again.
Mm.
Because then there's no rehabilitation of character. Then there's no hope for anyone. Then any of us who have ever got something wrong
I get
are
you. And look, I'm not disagreeing with that, and
mm,
and specifically that example, I'm not disagreeing with. I'm just saying that, that I think that happened, that all those clips resurfaced in the week of the Oscars. So it possibly would have been a bad look, even though he put his hand up and apologized. Was he only apologizing because he was caught? Maybe. But it probably would have been bad maybe if he still did host it. But I mean, 10 years later,
mm,
he's probably still one of the most successful comedians on the earth. Like in the same kind of context in which he was punished for that, we don't see that anymore now because even when you look at politicians, what they say, or like we seen over the weekend or during the week, uh, Donald Trump put out a picture of the Obamas as apes, as a still frame. You know,
that now that should be
I mean, like if you talk about cancel culture, that's enough. That should cancel him, in my
no.
opinion, as a president of any country.
This is a brilliant example, right? This is an example where you're getting to the crux of it that I failed to do. I am all for people facing punishment or facing consequences, right? And that's where accountability comes into it. I I don't believe it should be, a death sentence. But something like that, right? Like bearing in mind this is the highest office in the land. He's meant to represent all Americans, regardless if they voted for him or not. And he's out there with the most blatantly racist fucking thing he could post. And then he blames it on the staffer. And here we are less than a week later, and it's gone. The story's moved on.
Moved on already.
And there's no accountability there at all. There's nothing. He faced one or two questions, blamed the
He do
staffer.
blamed the staffer and then didn't blame the staffer. Then was
Mm,
like, no, that was me. Like he doubled down, like, and
yeah.
an initial reaction was, oh, it was part of a 2 minute video. Yeah, but he screen grabbed. He didn't
That
play the
one,
he
yeah, it
didn't
was
play the
yeah,
video. He screen grabbed the Obamas as apes.
yeah.
Danny, just a change tact here, and I was listening to I was on the pier today with Suggsy, with the great Suggsy, and I was listening to Moncrief as I
Oh
always
yeah.
do. I do like Moncrief. I have a great time from. Pretty sure it was Moncrief. Anyway, there was a piece on fertility,
Yes.
and France's fertility rate has fallen to 1.56 children per woman as of early this year, right? It's marking a significant decline and one of the lowest levels since World War One. The rate was well below the 2.1 threshold required for population replacement. So do you know what they've
Hmm.
tried to do? The French government.
Go on.
They've prompted government initiatives to encourage parenthood among young adults. So
Right.
literally, they've started literally like a leaflet campaign, and they've targeted a certain number, starting a certain age, um, and they've targeted kind of literature sent out in a pamphlet to remind 28 to 30-year-old women to reproduce. Now, the threshold is interesting. The population replacement required, the threshold is 2.1. So in
Yeah.
the same context, in the same conversation, it was brought up about Ireland. And
Yeah.
Ireland is the same. Ireland's is fertility rate at the moment is 1.5. France is
Mhm.
1.56. And our rate is well below the 2.1 threshold required as well. So,
Yeah.
but I think in Ireland, in terms of fertility, in your 20s. Like that would happen in the 80s and 90s where 20-year-olds
Hmm.
were starting families because of the living situations. But like, are they putting these things into fact? Like, are they factoring in the state of the nation? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's nowhere to live.
I was going to say, I think this is one of them, isn't it? Where it's kind of the chickens are coming home to roost, or whatever the expression is. That like you for a long, long time, if you think about what women went through in this country, particularly the mother and baby homes, and how ostracized from society single mothers were. You think about how you still to this day will hear a minority, but a significant minority all the same, talk about the traditional family and all that kind of stuff. Like we still have this hang up about single parent families. We still have these archaic, outdated views which are rooted really and truthfully in Christianity and in religious fucking just nonsense
Nonsense.
of, you know, that a woman is there to reproduce and that the family is a man and a woman and children. So you had that for so long. You had, you know, single parent families or single mothers, whatever it was, being ostracized, being looked down upon, and kids, like especially say of our generation, we were constantly don't go out and get pregnant early, don't go out and have kids early.
Yeah.
It'll ruin your life. It'll
It's all trauma, isn't it?
all that.
Generational trauma.
Yeah, right. But then the part of that conversation that doesn't happen, or the side of that conversation that nobody talked about until recently, and it's almost like, oh, look, what do we do? Is, oh, we've an aging population. And at this rate, the country will struggle to pay the pension for people because there's not enough young workers coming in paying taxes. So that's where that 2.1 is really important because every country has to look at it and say 20, 30 years down the line, who is going to foot the tax bill that's needed in order to, allow society to function and to do things like pension and healthcare and all that kind of stuff. So it's no surprise to me that governments would be taking this sort of thing or be trying to look at it and say, we need to motivate these people to be a bit hornier and get out there and, you know,
But
the
it's funny though, Danny, as well, because this then proves that all of Ireland,
hmm.
France, whatever, we're not full.
No, of course not.
We're
Of
not
course not.
full.
We
We
never
need
were.
more.
We
We
never
need more.
were.
Like when you look at the rhetoric from, as I said, from previously a couple of minutes ago about Jim Ratcliffe, um, like the UK, England, Scotland, Wales, their fertility is 1.4, so it's lower
But
than
also,
Ireland and France. So we're not full,
no, we're
and
not. We're not.
we're open for business.
Jim Ratcliffe's out there as well, peddling these statistics. He was saying that, the population of Britain in the year 2020 was 56 million or whatever it was, and now it's, 70 something million or whatever it was. It's like the population of Britain hasn't been 56 million since the year 2000. All right. Yes, the population has gone up due to immigration, but it's gone up by a couple of million in that time frame. It hasn't
You
gone
ever
up by
wonder
the,
how these flutes made their money? Like,
yeah, by standing on the neck of ordinary Joes like you and I, Graham,
yeah,
as we
because
discussed earlier.
absolute morons.
They'll put a
Like,
tenner in your pocket in your wages, but they're taking 50 out of your other pocket. But you know that
exactly.
like, but
People
you're,
like him aren't to be listened to about fucking topics like that. You know what I mean?
no, absolutely not. Look, basically the message from governments across the European Union and perhaps the UK, if they ever get their ducks in a row, is basically get out there and ride more,
Yeah,
give us
it
more
is.
babbies. And who knows, maybe even they'll get progressive and say ride a foreigner. Who knows?
But um we need proper kind of infrastructure to allow this to happen as well.
Yeah, we
Because
absolutely
people,
do. Yeah.
but like you've described, generational trauma doesn't help in Ireland.
No.
And also the situation doesn't help in terms of housing and
No,
bills and
look at
stuff, you know?
there's a mad irony, isn't there, that like we done all this work to get out of tenement housing and to outlaw that sort of living conditions, and yet we need more people to be having kids, and we need more of that. So what we're doing is actually inadvertently recreating the tenement setting within the family home by having, the parents who have the three kids. Those three kids are still at home. They're in their late 20s and early 30s, and they're starting to have families. So now you've got all these people under one roof because the three kids can't afford to get out and get a fucking place of their own because of the state of the country and the state of the housing prices that is being put upon us through successive failures of successive and more government. Like it's just this is insane. It's
Insane.
yeah, let's go back to the tenements, but we won't call it the tenements, and let's stick 47 people in a fucking bedsit
Yeah.
and charge them an arm and a leg for it. But of course, raise a family because we need the kids, lads. So, you know,
Exactly.
keep getting pregnant, keep getting the kids in
Mhm.
here, but Don't worry about your living conditions. Don't worry about the space. Don't worry about your quality of life. Don't worry about any of that. Just give us more kids.
What a way to end.
This
We
is the danger when you and I only when we don't have a guest to keep us keep
our
us on the
guests
straight and narrow.
postponed us till next week, so
Yeah.
we'll keep
So
that.
yeah.
We had to go. We had to go it alone. We did get feedback a load of time saying that. Um, we like listening to just you and him. So me and him just did that.
Yeah, we did. And look,
Me and himself have just gone on a tangent where we're a bit tired and where we're a bit grumpy, and it's probably
yeah.
reflective of the current mood and the current weather of the world.
And yeah, that's a very, very valid point. That is, as always, look, as I said earlier, we've never in the 11 years we're doing this, we've never had a script. We've never had show notes. We've never we just we hit record and we see where it goes, for better or for worse. And we'll continue to do that as long as
Till death do
people
us part.
keep listening. Indeed. Miro, thank you for your company as
Thank
always.
you,
If
Danny.
people want to dip back into that more than decade library that we have, how can they do so and where can they do so?
They can go to WTSpod.com or they can search WTS Pod in the Spotify, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Podbean, Podcast Republic, anywhere, everywhere you get a podcast. Just search WTS Pod and we will be there. And all of our 300 plus episodes will be there, including the previously referenced old 600 episodes.
Mm.
I can't remember some of the topics we talked about, but
Oh, geez, I can't remember a single one. We did,
we
yeah,
rambled for 10 minutes back then. So
we did.
um,
And we were
that's where you'll get
interrupted in
us.
by Shinsuke Nakamura, and that was our signal to finish that show. Yeah, but look, as Randall said, that's where you'll find us. If you like it, tell a friend, and who knows, we might catch Bad Bunny on the monthly downloads. We're not far behind them anyway. Until next week. Oh shit, Merrill's froze. Am I gonna have to close this out by myself? Right at the death. Merrill's internet has shit the bed. So, until next week, clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose.